What's up guys, this is Anime Con Reviews, and today I'm bringing you my review over Anime Midwest 2013. So this year, Anime Midwest moved its location, taking place in a much nicer and bigger hotel, the Hyatt Regency O'Hare in Chicago, Illinois. 2013 was a big year for Anime Midwest. This is mostly due to the fact that they changed their location to the Hyatt Regency O'Hare, which a lot of other big cons go to. When it comes to Anime Midwest 2013, there are a lot of things to talk about. A lot of them being good, but most of them being bad. The con was clearly not prepared for this many people to show up. This is clear by the fact that they put a limit on their tickets on their website a few months before the con even started. Before we get too far into the bad things, let's first talk about the good things. The good things are, there was an awesome location. The Hyatt Regency O'Hare, like I said before, is known for having awesome cons. And there's a reason for that. It's big, spacious, tons of people can fit in there, and it's just fun to hang out in. Unlike some other cons I've been to at the Hyatt, everything was actually on time. All the panels were pretty much on time other than maybe a couple minutes. Some cons I've been to have had panels run hours late, and this is just annoying. You're sitting in line for hours, you want to go enjoy the con, but you can't because you want a good seat at your panel, which is 2 hours late. Luckily, that wasn't a problem at Anime Midwest, and all the panels started on time. The next thing that I thought was pretty cool was that this con had 2 raves, one on Friday and one on Saturday. I've never been to a con that did that before. I'm sure there's others that do, but I'd never seen it, and it impressed me, to be quite honest. The last thing I saw that I thought was really good was that there were a ton of great cosplays. Now, I know this doesn't really have to do with the con itself, it's more the fans, but there was a lot to look at, and there were a lot of people that the con brought in to take pictures. And I'm sure those pictures are being posted places right now for everybody to see. So I really enjoyed all the cosplays, and I mean, that's pretty much all I have on the side of good things, to be honest. Next we get into the bad, and get ready because there's a lot of them. Alright, the first thing that we noticed at the con was a rude staff. I hate to say that, because most cons I go to, the staff are pretty friendly, but it just kind of felt like this staff was very stressed out, and I'm sure that's because of the intense turnout that they didn't expect. But nonetheless, they seemed to be fairly rude, and I wasn't a fan of that, as I know a lot of people online that have been complaining about it since weren't either. So I would recommend next year either hiring new staff or telling your people to be nicer to the guests. I mean, we're here for the con, we're there to enjoy it, and it's hard to enjoy it when the staff is yelling at you and being very harsh. We know that we need to move over to the wall. You don't have to yell the way you're yelling. We know that so many people can't fit on the elevator. We're sorry, but you don't need to yell at us the way you're yelling. There's more examples, but all in all, I just found the staff to be very rude, and I know everybody with me did. So yeah, a rude staff. This next thing I really didn't even realize was happening until after I got home and saw it on some message boards and realized that I'd actually seen it happen. A lot of people weren't checking badges at 18+ panels. This is ridiculous. Every con I've ever been to has checked everyone's badges and IDs at 18+ panels to make sure they're 18. I walked in on a Name That Cleavage panel where they were not checking badges to see if they were 18+, and I heard online about other 18+ panels where people were walking in and they weren't checking badges. So you're sitting there next to a 15 or 14-year-old kid who should not be in this panel, and it's just kind of awkward. Now I know they weren't doing this at all of them, because at the uncensored panel they were checking badges, but that was on the first night. It seemed like it all kind of fell apart after that. So yeah, make sure you're checking those badges, guys, because it's kind of important. Along with them not checking badges for panels, there were also panels where the panelists never even showed up. Like, how does this even happen? I can understand maybe once or twice, but I read online about 6, 7, 8 panels where the panelists never showed up, and other people had to step in and either say, hey, this panel's not going to happen because they didn't show up, or they just kind of took control and tried to make it their own. I know this happened to me at one panel, but it was only one for me. But I did read online about it happening to a lot of other people, which that's kind of ridiculous that it would happen that much. They need to watch their panelists, make sure they're there, and if they're not, tell us beforehand that the panel's getting canceled, instead of having everyone stand in a line for an hour, 2 hours for a panel, and then have their panelists not show up. This next one's just kind of my opinion, but I heard a lot of other people talking about it too, so I figure I'll throw it out there. I thought the main event sucked. I mean, not the raves and not the dances and concerts, but like opening ceremonies was pretty bad. The Whose Line Is It Anime? That was bad. All the main events where it was the staff of the con putting on the event, I just didn't think they were very good. They weren't funny, and to me, it's okay. You can have those events. I just thought they shouldn't be in the main event panel. I thought it was pretty dumb that all the voice actors were pushed into panel room 2 when they should have been in the main events room. There were a lot of people who couldn't get into some of the voice actors' panels because panel room 2 just wasn't big enough and it couldn't fit all these people. And then you've got the main events room with something going on that nobody even finds interesting. Nobody's in there. There's plenty of room. If you would have had your voice actor in there, the room would have been filled. So all I'm really saying here is next time, put the voice actors in the main events room, not in panel room 2. It's not big enough, and your main events aren't very entertaining anyway. Just let go of your pride a little bit and put them in the main events. That's where we want them. The line will be better there. Everybody can fit in there. It'll be better for all the guests. I promise. The dealer's room. I heard a lot of people talking about the dealer's room over this weekend, and I was one of them. The dealer's room was bad, guys. It was very bad for a lot of reasons. First, there weren't a lot of good dealers there. There was hardly anyone selling anything very good, and the good dealers that were there had almost no merchandise. I've heard that this is partially because Anime Expo is going on in LA and they had to split their merchandise off, but I can't see that being the reason for all of them, and I can't see that being the reason for there being so little stuff to buy at this con. The next thing is that the merch room was just too small. It should have been put in a bigger room, like the upstairs ballroom, which was blocked off. Nobody could even go down that hallway. I don't think people even knew it existed. The only reason I know is because I was at ASIN, and that's where they have their main events, and it's much bigger. The ceiling is much higher also, which would have been nice. It got really stuffy in that dealer's room when you're looking around at nothing to buy and can't get back out because there's so many people. The ceiling's so low that it's getting hot and stuffy in there. So next year I think it'd be a good idea to first of all get some better dealers in, and maybe either put it in the ballroom if you still not got a lot of dealers, or if they get more dealers, maybe they can put it in the convention center like ASIN does. But I don't think that like made or break it. It's okay without it being in the convention center, but they should still work on making a better dealer's room. This is another one that I didn't know about till I got home, and it has to do with autographs. I didn't know about this because honestly I didn't want to wait in the lines for autographs. I've seen most of these voice actors before, I've gotten their autographs, so I wasn't really interested. But when I got home, I found out that they were charging $10 for autographs. Now, that's not that big of a deal. If they want to charge money for autographs, they can. That's their choice. That's not what I'm complaining about here. My problem is that people didn't know that they were charging money for autographs. They didn't put it in their guidebook. They didn't say it anywhere. People had to wait till they were in line and getting near the front of the line after waiting for hours to find out that they're charging money for autographs. And people could have been out enjoying the con. People who don't have money to spend on the autographs, maybe people left their wallet back in their hotel room. They had to get out of this line that they've been waiting in for 2 hours to get an autograph from one of their favorite voice actors because nowhere did it say that it cost money, so they didn't know. So I know this is a controversy that's going on online right now. A lot of people are arguing about this, and it's just my opinion that it should have been put somewhere about charging for autographs. My last big issue with this con was elevator issues. I know there's a lot of people, and a lot of people wanted to shove their way into elevators, and that worked out great for the first like 5 hours of the con. And then everybody decided they wanted to jump around in the elevators and break them. Now, I know this isn't the con staff's fault. I know it's not the hotel's fault. And it was the fans. We did it. we broke the elevators. Then everyone wanted to complain about it and get mad that the elevators were broken, and they only let 6 people in at a time. I thought they could have fit more people in the elevators. There's a lot of people going. They had their staff members in the elevators to make sure that people weren't jumping around and weren't playing around. That's all they really needed. If they know that nobody's jumping around and breaking the elevators, why couldn't they have put more people in it? I know at the end of Saturday, early Sunday, they started letting 8 people in. 2 more people, that's better. I mean, 8 people is a lot better than 6. There's a lot of people at this con going back and forth. We needed to get these people in these elevators, or at least when they can't fit, direct them to the stairs. Because I knew a lot of people who didn't know where the stairs were in this hotel. Nobody wanted to direct them to where they were, so they had to stand there, wait for, I don't know, I waited a good 20 minutes once just to get on an elevator because you can't fit in it. So, yeah, next year, I don't know how you can fix this, but think of something to work out the elevator issues. Put up a sign pointing toward the stairs so people know. Just do something. I know I just complained about a lot of problems with this con, but don't get me wrong, I still had an awesome time. It was still super fun. I've heard people online saying that it was the perfect weekend for them. Well, that's good for you. I'm glad you had fun, but I know that there's also a lot of people that didn't because of some of these problems, and I feel pretty bad for these people, and I can't say that I was one of them. The only one that really bothered me was the dealer's room. Beyond that, I didn't really have a lot of issues with this stuff. I took the stairs a lot of time on the elevators, and none of that stuff really bugged me. But for those people that did, I'm giving this con a 6.5 out of 10. I was planning to give it a 7.5 until I got home and read about some of these other issues that I didn't know about. So, 6.5 it is, guys.